So what is it that makes a city feel truly alive? It's one of those questions that, really gets to the core of how we all live together. Today, we're going to dive into the science of living cities to try and figure that out. You've felt this before, right? You walk through one neighborhood and it's just buzzing with energy, with life. And then you go to another part of town, it seems perfectly planned, everything's in its place, but it just feels sterile. If you know that feeling, you've stumbled right into the middle of a huge debate in urban planning.
See, for a really long time, the main idea was to treat cities like they were machines. You design all the parts, you put them together in the right order, and you expect a totally predictable outcome. But here's the thing. Great cities just don't work that way. They're actually much more like living organisms, these incredibly complex, adaptive systems where the real energy comes from countless little interactions happening on the ground.
And that tension, that brings us right to the heart of the problem facing city planning today. That old machine-like mindset, well, it's just not built to handle the beautiful, sometimes messy, complexity of a real, living city. For years, the people who design our cities have been kind of stuck in this tug-of-war, caught between two very different and, as it turns out, pretty flawed ways of thinking about all this. So let's actually break down what these two approaches are. I bet you'll recognize the fingerprints of both of them on cities that you know and love, or maybe don't love so much. Okay, so on one side, you have what we could call the control freak. This is your classic top-down master planner who tries to script every single detail, thinking that if they just get the layout perfect, a perfect community will magically appear. And then, on the other side, you've got the detached artist, who basically sees all that complexity as someone else's problem. They just design these beautiful buildings like isolated sculptures, totally cut off from the city's actual dynamic life.
And here's the kicker. Both of these extremes get it wrong for the exact same reason. One of them tries to completely crush the city's natural, self-organizing spirit, and the other one just ignores it entirely. Neither approach actually works with that emergent vitality that really makes the city thrive.
But what if there was a third way, a smarter approach that could actually bridge this gap? Well, this is where a new idea comes into play. It's called the Urban Informatics Framework, or just the UIF.
The UIF gives us a whole new model for planning. The goal isn't to control the city anymore, but to gently guide it. And it does this by weaving together two really powerful big ideas: hard, universal science, and the local, on-the-ground wisdom of the people who actually live there. And this is what's so incredibly smart about it. It takes two things that sound like total opposites, these universal scientific rules and super local participation, and shows us that they're actually two sides of the same coin when you're trying to nurture a living city.
So, how does this really work? What does it look like in practice? Let's take a look at the two core pillars that make this urban informatics framework so powerful. The first pillar is what you could call the science of space. This is all about uncovering the hidden grammar of what makes a successful city tick, the deep structural rules they pretty much all share. And the second pillar, that's the wisdom of crowds, which uses technology to turn regular citizens into partners, co-creating their city's future. And these rules are incredibly real. They're not just theories. Take something called space syntax. It basically proves that if you have a well-connected street grid, you naturally get more foot traffic and economic buzz no matter what the zoning map says. Or urban scaling laws, which show that as cities get bigger, innovation actually grows faster than the population in a predictable way. These aren't opinions. These are real, observable scientific patterns. Now this is where the other half gets really exciting. Instead of just getting a survey once in a while, citizens become active sensors for the city, contributing real-time data based on their local knowledge. Planners are no longer these all-knowing designers. They become facilitators, guiding a citywide conversation. And planning itself stops being this one-time thing. It becomes a continuous cycle of learning and adapting together. Okay, so what actually happens when you combine this hard science with genuine public participation? Well, you get a fundamentally new and, I think, better way of planning for living cities. This table just makes the shift so clear. In the old model, citizens were just passive consumers of a plan. With the UIF, they're active co-producers. Instead of a rigid, fixed master plan, what you get is a series of adaptive, smart interventions. And the goal? It's not control anymore. It's to catalyze the city's own incredible ability to organize itself and thrive. This is really the big takeaway here. We are moving away from the whole idea of the city as some kind of finished product. Instead, we start to see it as a constant process of evolution. And the planner's job becomes more like a careful, informed gardener, not a heavy-handed engineer. I love this quote because it just perfectly captures the whole philosophy.
It is a huge shift in mindset. You're not designing the thing itself. You're designing the conditions for the thing to grow and flourish all on its own. It's about enabling, not dictating.
So I'll leave you with this to think about. The next time you walk through your city, try to look beyond just the buildings and the roads. Think about the processes that are happening all around you. Because the true mark of a great city might not be the perfection of its plan, but its incredible capacity to change, to evolve, and ultimately to live.